What's up, movie fans? As you can see, I am back in my normal studio at the moment. My college semester has ended, so for the next few videos from me, I'm actually going to be back in my normal studio in my house, so that's gonna be nice. In this video, I am going to be reviewing Wake Up Dead Man, the third movie in the Knives Out trilogy that recently came out. The Knives Out trilogy has been one of my favorite film series from the past few years. If you don't know, this is a series of whodunit murder mystery movies written and directed by Rian Johnson. The first Knives Out movie came out in 2019, and I absolutely love that movie. I would say that's probably one of my favorite movies ever. Actually, I think it is just such a well-constructed, fun mystery movie. Then the second movie, Glass Onion, came out in 2022, and I also loved that movie. I don't think it's quite as good as Knives Out, but it is still a really solid murder mystery movie that I really enjoyed. And so now, 3 years later, we have the third movie in the series, Wake Up Dead Man. And so I'm just going to get straight into this review. We're going to talk about everything I liked about it, everything I disliked, and then my final score, as always. Starting with the things that I liked about the movie, I think this is just another great Rian Johnson whodunit movie. I really do think that this franchise so far has just very much proven that their formula can work over and over again, where in every one of these movies you have this central mystery involving a bunch of characters who are super unlikable, misguided people, and then you have kind of two central protagonists that you're following. One character who's kind of involved in the mystery, but is the one actual good person, and then the detective, the only character who is in every one of these movies, Benoit Blanc. And I think that every one of these movies has managed to just use that formula very well. In this movie, the character who you're kind of following besides Blanc is played by Josh O'Connor, and I thought that he was a very likable, fun protagonist who I enjoyed following throughout this movie. I thought that he was just great because, like the two previous protagonists in the other two Knives Out movies, Marta in the first movie and Helen in the second, he's just a genuinely good person who's trying to do the right thing, and he's just involved in this mystery with a bunch of really terrible, annoying, unlikable people. Every Knives Out movie so far has had a great sense of humor. I think that they can be very, very funny. This movie, I would say, is the least funny of the three, but it's still a very funny, fun movie. At times, there were moments that made me laugh. I just really love Benoit Blanc. He is such a fun character, where he's like this super intelligent detective, but he's also this really goofy comedic character at times. And I think every one of these movies has just managed to make me love Daniel Craig as Benoit Blanc. I think this, like the first two movies, is a super well-constructed mystery movie where, there are so many little details over the course of the movie that you kind of miss as you're going throughout it. And then by the time you get to the end of the movie, the puzzle gets put together in front of you, and every one of these details that you just didn't see ends up being incredibly important. This is a movie that, like the first two, has this incredibly complex mystery plotline. And to be totally honest, when I first watched the movie, there were a few things where I was kind of like, hold on, I feel like that's a plot hole. I feel like the parts of that don't line up fully. I'm gonna have to go back and check that. And then I did go back and check that, and I realized that this entire movie's, like, mystery is pretty much completely airtight. Like, every single thing that I thought was a plot hole is explained at some point in the movie, and there are, like, even more little details that I missed the first time around. I just think that Rian Johnson is very good at constructing these very complex mysteries. I'm trying to be very vague here with the things that I'm saying, because I don't want to, like, spoil it. It's a mystery movie. But, yeah, I thought this was a very well-constructed mystery. Now, the other big thing that I really liked about Wake Up Dead Man, and this kind of surprised me, is that of the 3 movies in this trilogy so far, this one is easily the most thematically complex. I don't think that, like, the first 2 Knives Out movies really have insanely large themes in them. It's just kind of rich people suck, to be honest, which, like, yeah, no, I agree, but it's not overly complex. I think that this movie has a way more complex theme than the first 2, because this movie is all about religion. This movie's victim, the person who gets killed, is a priest played by Josh Brolin. The entire movie takes place in a church. The suspects are all members of the congregation. And I thought that the things that this movie had to say about religion and Christianity were really, really interesting. I am a Christian, and as a Christian, I actually really appreciated a lot of the things that this movie was kind of saying, where it very much explores the fact that there are very, very bad people who can use religion and Christianity to lead people astray and kind of try to further their own power. There are a lot of people in the world like that right now, and that is kind of what Josh Brolin's character in this movie very much represents. But it also explores the fact that there are also legitimately good people who are Christians, which is what Josh O'Connor's character kind of represents, and they genuinely do just want to help people, and they believe that God is the key to, like, helping people, and so they want to lead as many people to God as possible. And it explores, like, that contrast between those 2 different types of people very, very well. And then along the way, Blanc is kind of thrown into this movie as an atheist who believes that all of it is completely just crap, none of it is true, he believes that God is fiction, all of that stuff. And he has an arc in this movie that I wasn't expecting. This is probably the only Knives Out movie so far to give Blanc an actual arc, where he starts the movie believing that religion is completely pointless, harmful, and then over the course of the movie, through Josh O'Connor's character, he kind of slowly starts to realize that it can legitimately help people, and there is a point to it, and I thought that that was really, really interesting. This is genuinely the most thematically complex of the Knives Out movies, and I did really appreciate a lot of the things that it was saying. I thought that it was a very well-written movie from the perspective of, like, all of its themes and stuff. And so, yeah, that is something that I really, really liked about this movie. So that's everything that I liked about Wake Up Dead Man. Now we have to get into the stuff that I disliked, and to be totally honest, there's not a lot, but a few things that I did kind of have criticisms with in this movie. First off, I think this is the movie that utilizes its massive supporting cast the least, where like every one of these movies is just filled with A-list celebrities, and I think that the first two movies did a great job at kind of making sure that they all had a point and they were all very funny. In this movie, most of them had a point, a lot of them really were funny, but there were a few characters in this movie where I wasn't entirely sure if they needed to be there, and I wasn't insanely, like, blown away by their presence in the movie. It's only really the case for, like, 2 or 3 of them, but still, I wish that they could have developed those characters a little bit more and made them a little bit, like, more worthwhile inclusions in the story. Another thing, even though I really like the formula of these movies, I do think that maybe this movie leaned into the same formula as the first 2 movies a little bit too much. I do think there are elements of these movies that are starting to become a little bit predictable, and so, like, that's kind of a bad thing when it comes to whodunit murder mysteries, but still, I enjoyed it well enough. I still think that the formula works well enough. I'm just starting to notice that maybe if they make a 4th Knives Out movie, it needs to start switching things up a little bit more. Part of the thing that I love about the first 2 Knives Out movies is that those movies are whodunit movies that switch up what a whodunit movie is, where in the first movie, you're actually kind of following the main suspect who you think for most of the movie is the murderer, and so that's kind of how that movie switches up the genre. And then in the second movie, you don't even really know who the victim is until over halfway through the film. And you think you're watching one movie the whole time, and then it kind of turns things on its head and turns into a completely different movie. And so those 2 movies feel like very unique, different whodunit murder mystery movies. This one is kind of just a normal murder mystery movie, where there's not, like, any insane twist on the genre. No, this movie just plays it straight. Here's the crime, here's our suspects. Throughout the movie, you have to find out which suspect did it, and that's the movie. So, like, I do wish that maybe this movie could have found another way to kind of switch up the genre, but still, that's not an insane problem. Overall, all of those problems are kind of just nitpicks to me. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought that Wake Up Dead Man was another fantastic installment in the Knives Out film series. This series continues to be one of my favorite new film series that we have gotten in the last few years, and I would very much be open to them making another one, because I just still have not gotten tired of these movies. So yeah, I thought Wake Up Dead Man was great. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10, and I highly recommend you check it out. So there you go, that's my review of Wake Up Dead Man. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. Comment down below, did you like Wake Up Dead Man, the 3rd Knives Out movie, and which Knives Out movie is your favorite so far? And see ya, movie fans.